Colin.
Yeah.
What's your topic?
So in political circles the last week, this Princeton study has been making the rounds. I just wanted to bounce it off of you guys. Princeton obviously is an Ivy League school.
Oh.
Very good school. And they had a study by their political scientists that they released. And it's been everywhere. I've seen this study like everywhere, even on non-political websites. And the study is called Testing Theories of American Politics, Elites, Interest Groups, and Average Citizens. But I'm not going to actually read you the study because it's long and boring. What it basically says, this is from Talking Points memo. This is what the study says, in short. It says, a new study from Princeton spells bad news for American democracy, namely that it no longer exists.
Dun, dun, dun.
Asking who really rules, researchers Martin Gillens and Benjamin I. Page argue that over the past few decades, America's political system has slowly transformed from a democracy into an oligarchy where wealthy elites wield most power. Using data drawn from over 1,800 different policy initiatives from 1981 to 2002, the two conclude that rich, well-connected individuals on the political scene now steer the direction of the country regardless of or even against the will of the majority of voters. Quote, the central point that emerges from our research is that economic elites and organized groups representing business interests have substantial independent impacts on U.S. government policy, while mass-based interest groups and average citizens have little or no independent influence. Just in case people don't know what an oligarchy basically is a small group of people that run everything. I mean, that is what it literally means. And technically an oligarchy can be a monarchy, or in our case, a republic. Monarchy, of course, means different things, but on Wikipedia, an oligarchy, meaning few to rule or command, is a form of power structure in which power effectively rests with a small number of people. Though these people can be distinguished by royalty, wealth, family ties, education, corporate or military control. So it's basically basically wealth would be ours. And we live in a republic, technically, which their definition of a republic is a state in which supreme power is held by the people and their elected representatives, and which has an elected or nominated president rather than a monarch. We don't technically live in a democracy. A democracy is a system of government by the whole population or the eligible members of a state, typically through elected representatives. So it's a little different. Anyway, I was curious what you guys thought of that, and if you thought it was true.
I agree.
And what we could do about it.
That's my question.
If you think it is true.
What do you think is going to happen with this? I think isn't it undoubtedly true? Like, this is the same thing. I mean, you are my main conduit through which I talk politics. Even if you weren't in here feeding me your lies in my ear, this is what I've been saying for years, even on just my cursory glance at politics and keeping up with what's happening, right? Just all these power packs you have and all these lobbyists and everything else. And even before you get into the dramatization, right, of House of Cards or something like that, these stories aren't hard to find, right? And these horrible people who are always in power that always end up being corrupt assholes.
Yeet.
Leland Yee, representing San Francisco. Yeah, I mean, I totally think it's true, and I don't think anything will change. That's how, we've talked about this before. I'm super jaded about all this, right? I think the political system's totally fucked, and I don't think it's not going to get better anytime soon.
Yeah.
If Obama couldn't fix it, no one can.
I don't know. I don't know shit about any of this, but to me, that's what it seems like. That's what politics seems like to me in general.
But I mean,
it seems like a couple dudes making decisions that a lot of people are upset about, and no one's really doing shit about, and there's some people that are just really mad.
Admittedly, I derive most of my knowledge of modern politics from the show Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
And I think,
Art of War.
All kidding aside, that's generally, I just really feel how it works, right? He who has the most amount of power and influence generally sets the tone and sets the agenda, right? I think the only thing I can do to combat that is be
dragons.
Shadowbox.
Just have shadowboxing helps with the anxiety and the glutes. The only thing I can think to really do for that is, if you can't beat them, join them, right? Just be as successful as possible. My goal in life is to strike it rich writing tween novels. That's what I want to do.
You're not going to write a tween novel.
Billions of dollars.
Can you imagine a Nick Scarpino tween novel?
I would love it. What's your pen name?
You wouldn't do it. It would be nasty.
Are you going to go by Nicholas for it?
I'll go by Nick Scarpino.
You got to go by Nicholas for it. No
brand uniformity, Greg. Brand uniformity.
So...
Nicholas Michael Scarpino? Is that better?
No, Nicholas Scarpino.
N.M. Scarpino.
N.M. Scarpino.
Or N... What's your middle name?
N.N. Scarpino?
Your middle name is what?
Michael.
I'm Italian, N. Michael Scarpino.
N. Michael Scarpino.
I hate that kind of shit. When it's always
I like that.
The first initial and then the middle
really
name
good.
and then the last name. N. Michael Scarpino.
I really like that.
Yeah, Nick Scarpino is not writing a novel a 14-year-old wants to read. A 14-year-old girl.
The idea of Nick writing novels for 14-year-old girls is the
genius,
best.
Right?
Yeah. Genius. What would it be called?
What would it be called?
Yeah.
I don't know. Some mixture of vampires and young girls. Vampires and young girls.
How about
There it is.
how
There's
about
the title.
Babysitter's Club, but with vampires instead of normal?
These are all
girls.
great. We should stop recording this because someone's going to steal the genius ideas that are coming out from this day.
it's
What would
the-
your kids? What would your tween book be about?
Well, no, we're not worrying about me. We're worrying about you. The series should be called "Vampin' the Night Away," and it's about an improv vampire who's trying to change his ways, but he can't
And he
until
just-
he meets Lucille Tidwell, a 13-year-old young and upcoming improv actress.
At 13, I was just doing the circuit.
Well, that's how you get to connect with as the tweens, and then he murders her.
It's a love that can never
I think
be.
you just need all you need is unrequited love, right? All you need is that ridiculous love that you had when you thought you had when you were in high school. If you could just capture that into a book and throw in a vampire, or a ridiculous set of circumstances by which teens have to kill each other, you're golden.
We should just put all of it
You're
together.
golden. Oh, like Hunger.
Add a couple shades
like
of gray and
It's
it'll be
Hunger
good.
Games, but there's mythical creatures in there instead. So it's like a human has to be picked with a vampire and like a
Oh,
magician and all these
shit.
other things, and an
And
alien.
a dragon.
has to
People
come.
like dragons.
Thank
and
you
a
for putting
dragon.
magician in. Thank
I was
you for
gonna say
putting
wizard,
magician
but
in.
I wanted
Thank
to
you.
do a call back to the other.
Right.
There are past episodes of GameOverGreggy just as good as this one.
They're available at bandcamp.com. You go there,
That-
you search Game Over Greggy, you pay them, you got all of them for $1, or you can go watch the videos.
No, to get back to the original topic though, I mean that's it's really daunting for just us normal citizens to deal with that, right? We vote, we get out there, we do the whole rigmarole, but really, does it have any sort of impact? No, I don't think so.
I think, so my instinct when I read this study was, yeah, it's true. I mean, intellectually, honestly, we are controlled by a moneyed elite, right? We see it. I tweeted about it a couple weeks ago. I was like, I'm disappointed that we're so excited to elect another Clinton or another Bush. You know, like it's gonna be Hillary Clinton and Jeb Bush in 2016. That's fucking boring. You know, and that's
just like the
stupid.
Lannisters.
Exactly, it's just like the Lannisters. But then I thought about it in a completely different way, and I actually settled on the other side of it for me completely. That it's the people's fault. That like there's nothing stopping you from changing it. We make a lot of excuses about like how money buys influence, and yeah, it does, and money buys commercials and stuff like that. But if you're, it says a lot about everyone in this country. You know,
Yeah, but I mean-
like if you don't want to vote for the person, then don't fucking vote for them. If you want to throw your congressman out, throw him out. You know, you have every 2 years you can elect whoever you want. You know,
Yeah,
if
but
you
I
don't
feel
want the
like-
status quo,
But
then
this
don't
goes
vote
back
for
to
it.
the oligarchy, that the people in power with the money can just make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, but I don't think it's that easy because you can always find the answers. You can always dive deeper. It's just like the reason money works is because no one fucking cares. That's the only reason money works. You know, that's it. It's because like there's 310, 350 million people in this country, and out of 315, maybe, and I don't mean this as a dickhead, maybe 25 to 30 million of them have any idea what's going on. You know, like in terms of politics, then half of them are like me that are still ascribed to the two-party system because I do believe in one of the parties, you know, which is part of the problem for sure. But it's not that like people don't understand the importance of politics. It's that it's the same thing with history. It's like it's just not interesting because it wasn't taught properly, and they don't find it interesting and they don't care. You know, like history to me was so fascinating, but history's taught poorly.
Right.
And the same thing, and politics is taught poorly too. It's boring and it's procedural, and I understand all that kind of stuff, but I really blame it on apathy. You know, money doesn't have to buy anything. You know, look at a football team that spends $150 million on a team and they win 2 games in a year. It doesn't matter because the money didn't matter. The heart mattered. If you cared, mattered. If you studied hard, if you worked harder than your opponent, you know what I mean? Like,
See, I feel like
so to me, politics is the same thing. It's the fucking realest game there is.
Yeah, see, I feel like the when people are presented with two different options, they generally go with the one that's easier, and the easier option is just to make more money, right? It's not to change the system; it's just to play by the system's rules and try to capitalize off of it. And it sucks because that's how a lot of this happens. That's how we have this steamroll effect where like, inflation is just skyrocketing. Property values are ridiculous. We're headed for another bubble. It's because at the end of the day, people just want their lives to be better, and they don't want to deal with the harder thing to do, which would be to change the system completely. Ultimately, and I don't even know if you can. I think most systems don't change. They either thrive or continue to thrive, or they collapse. Right? Like,
Yeah, our system might collapse. I mean, it's
or
just
head toward. Basically, you thrive or you head toward a breaking point where mass change has to happen. But that's regardless of whether or not we make that happen. Like, it doesn't matter.
yeah. I mean, if we really wanted to change it, we'd have a revolution. You know, and I don't think that that's necessary because I don't think the system's the problem. I think the people are the problem. You know, and that wasn't the expected conclusion that I came to when I first read it and thought about it. And like I said, this has been everywhere. This has been a big story the last few days, and I was just thinking about it. And I'm just like, no, it's our fault. It's our own fault. You know, like money's putting, like they always say, like I'm a fucking total political junkie, right? So like I follow the cycle constantly, but it's conventional wisdom that no one tunes in until, like in presidential years, no one tunes in until maybe the convention, and more likely everyone really starts paying attention during the debates.
Yeah,
that's why Mitt Romney looked like a fucking super genius after the first debate, because everyone thought he was a fucking idiot because no one paid attention.
Right,
they just believed whatever was being told to them in 5-second, 10-second clips. Or, and they actually saw the man, and they're like, oh, okay, he's not a walking, talking idiot. Okay.
He's not just,
that was a surprise to everyone. I remember that. Like,
chin.
And that,
he's got a good chin.
But that says everything. That's why we always get extreme candidates or very political candidates, because the politically connected or the politically involved, like me, vote in the primaries.
Colin,
I pick your candidate, and then you vote in the general election. But everyone voted in the primary, then we would have real people.
I just need you to run for politics. I will be your running mate.
I would only need to run me if I was running for president or governor.
20XX.
Governor it is. So what would our team name be?
Moriarty Scarpino.
Cocaine.
Would he be
Cocaine Cowboys?
You'd be Kane? How does that work?
No, it's just,
You'd be with us.
No, I'd just drag y'all down.
Yeah, but that's why it'd be fun.
Okay.
We're not going to win.
No, definitely not.
No. We just still
I don't have a prayer.
You guys are rabble rousers. You're just out there to shake up the system.
We're just out there to meet people, network a little bit, maybe run for Congress.
Okay.
But do you guys? I mean, do you understand? Do I make sense when I say that? Because
I do, but I don't.
I feel like I kind of just blame it on apathy.
But I don't. But the problem is that there's no one there to inspire apathy to go away. You know what I mean? Like I think Obama, you laugh when I said that, right? Like he was the best chance, and they blew. But it's true. Like people, I'll never forget the night he got elected. The literal hope people had. They're like, things are finally going to be different, and then nothing happened.
Jay-Z made a song.
What did he say?
His president is black. My car is black, too.
Okay, thank you. Anyways, nothing changed. Nothing happened. You know what I mean? And so that for sure beat
good song.
A lot of people down. You know what I mean? Back to where it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, I just feel like, when I said before, it's like only 25 million people maybe in the United States really know what's going on, right? There's not 25 million smart people. In fact, a lot of people that know what's going on are fucking stupid. They're just involved. And that's like all it takes. There's a fucking ton of smart people in this country that if they just paid a little bit more attention, just got a little more outraged, everything would change. And we used to really have authentically inspirational candidates back in the day, or candidates that really spoke to people in a way that even if they lost, I really think of Barry Goldwater as one of those dudes, like a really like a fucking cult hero in Republican politics. He lost, he got his ass kicked, but he was like a real person. Or FDR was one of those people. I don't think JFK was one of those people. I think he was a manufactured political family person. But I think FDR was absolutely one of those people. Lincoln was one of those people. Obviously, all of the founders.
Where do we get off track? Where does it all start to go south? Where it becomes that they're not real people?
Probably after the war. I mean, we after the war we had Truman, who was a legacy of FDR. Then we had Eisenhower. So this is when began Dwight D, which was he was a hero, right? So we had him. He did his 8 years. Then we had JFK, who was a Kennedy, and Kennedys are very powerful. Then we had LBJ, who was a Texas machine politician, right? So, and then you had Nixon, who was a career politician, our vice president comes from California. Vice president of Eisenhower runs against JFK, loses, goes away, says you'll never, you won't be able to kick Nixon around anymore. It's whole fucking operatic bullshit. Comes back, he's president. Then we get Ford, who's just his replacement. Then we get Jimmy Carter, who's probably actually the last real person, frankly. I hate Jimmy Carter, but last real, he was a fucking peanut farmer. That's pretty legit. Then you had Reagan, who was an actor, so you had no idea, if he was even telling the truth half the time. Then you have all the Bush was Reagan's vice president. Then you had Clinton, who was was power hungry. Then you had Bush, who was a family guy. Then you have Obama, who, is a real person, but also a sign of the times, a sign of change, and all those kinds of things. And now you're gonna have Bush and Clinton again. And it's like, fuck, we have all these. That's the thing is there's great politicians and really inspirational people out there. It's just no one wants to go and find them. And some of these politicians are actually very moneyed, and some of them are very well supported. But that doesn't mean they're not real people. It's just money doesn't have to win. And I think a lot of people complain about that kind of stuff. It doesn't have to be that way. You just have to pay attention. Nothing says that you have to the person who has the most money wins. It's not. It just happens to be that way because we're lazy. If you paid attention, and I'm not saying us. I'm just saying if you paid attention,
royal us.
Yeah. And you just looked at the field of people and who you wanted, you can convince people, really interesting people, to get involved in the race, and they would win. All you have to do is vote. Everyone's vote counts the same. At the end of the day, the millionaire, the billionaire that elects these people goes into a booth and casts one vote. And I go in, you go in, we all cast one vote. and they all are accumulated, and whoever wins wins. So I just think I thought that study was interesting, and I think it's true, but I think it's not the system's fault. Because what's better than what we have?
Hedonism.
Hedonism, yeah. Communism is a failure, right?
Yeah.
Socialism's a failure. But even socialism has Republican tendencies. So then all you have left is monarchy or totalitarianism or fascism. All of those have failed. And then you have republicanism.
Do you think this changes? Does this ever change for us?
I think it changes. I think that I think in this country we will have a revolution. But I think it'll be a restoration. I think it'll be a constitutional revolution. And I don't think it's going to be like storming Washington or taking over buildings. I think it's going to be like eventually one day the revolution is going to be like, no, we don't want your fucking candidates and we don't want your shit. This is who is going to be our dude. And this is our guy. You know?
Yeah.
And I think it'll be like extra political in the sense that it won't be. Yeah, maybe it won't be.
It'll be you.
It won't be.
Nick to a lesser extent.
Yeah,
Team Kitty
It
Cat.
won't be.
You want a good Joe Biden, right?
I feel like things can get so bad and so weird and
that?
so like that. It's not even political. It's not even about a party.
Timothy said that.
It's about a person. That's like I'll fix it. And that's dangerous, by the way, because that's how totalitarianism rises and stuff like that. But I think that we just need a restoration.
And what do you think will be the catalyst to it? For me,
Economic collapse.
thank you. For me, and it sucks to say, I wanted the banks to collapse. I'm sure it would have been terrible. I probably would have lost my job.
we
Seeing
all
as
would've
my
lost
job's just like frivolous of whatever, being an idiot on the internet. But in terms of what's best for the country, that's the blow I think we needed at the time.
Yeah,
And
if
the
we
fact
took our
that
medicine, yeah.
everybody got really scared for a second, and then it wasn't scary and it was over. Nobody worries about the fact that it's still there. Problem is still there.
Yeah, it's just barely obscured. You can actually see the blood going through the Band-Aid every day. It's just, that was our chance to take our medicine. That was like, and we are eventually gonna have to take it. And I think that once something like that happens, the system will fail, and the economic system will, and people are gonna be like, well, we need to clean the House and the Senate, and we need a new president. We need people that are not politicians. We need businessmen, probably.
Yeah.
And
Godfather's Pizza guy.
yeah, oh yeah, Hermie Kane.
That's him.
So I don't know. I thought it was interesting. I wanted to bring it up to see what you guys thought. I like that story, especially because it leaked into the public consciousness in many ways. I've seen a lot of people were tweeting it out.
I saw a tweet with no context. That, well, welcome to the oligarchy, and I didn't understand it until we started talking about it.
But I mean, I don't know. Oligarchy is a scary word to people. It doesn't even mean anything literal. It just means small group of people. It's more about the reasons for it, and it's better than fascism.
Yeah,
It's better than totalitarianism. It's certainly better than communism.
better than alienism. Aliens coming down here trying to rule for us.
I'm back.
So that's it.